Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Aquarius is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything. If there's anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Aquarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And Hanged Man. Interesting. Let's see what this is all about. We need some context here. Okay. The Hanged Man could be a lot of different things. I wonder if there's something. I wonder if you're suspending a decision. If you're in the middle of kind of deciding something, but it's almost as if we are, I don't know if we are waiting for something else. Let's see what we've got. Got an 8 of Swords. Yeah, 2 of Pentacles. Yeah. There is, and the Universe card and the Empress. Beautiful. There is something that we're kind of in the middle of, right? There's a change. There's a choice. There's something that we're trying to transition from. And if we look at these, this is really interesting because we have the Queen of Pentacles looking that way. The Empress is looking that way. This is an earth energy. It is, it's appreciating the past. It's understanding everything that we've done. But then this is major arcana. This is like spiritual energy. This is the transition, right? From a material being to a spiritual being, right? Very interesting here. So the Hanged Man could really be that we are immersed in the spiritual world, immersed in our spiritual activities, and we are transforming into this pure being of light and spirit and love. That's really cool. Let's do the rest of the cards here. We've got, 4 of Cups. We've got a 7 of Pentacles. Princess of Wands. And a 10 of Pentacles. Yeah. Right away, I'm feeling that we're transitioning to a more aesthetic life, a more kind of art-focused, a more creative life, a more spiritual life, versus a strictly practical life, right? But it doesn't mean we're giving up the practical life because we still have, we don't want failure, we want wealth, right? But we want true wealth. We don't just want the material wealth that maybe we are focused on over here. Very interesting. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. And this is one random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. We're going to put Tiny Bob Ross right there on top. Now, we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but, it will tie everything together and give us the confirmation we need, right? If at any point during the reading you feel like you know what that card is, or you have an idea, put it down in the comments, all right? I want to see something down there from you. Let's make it a collective, a group exercise in intuition. All right, it's a muscle. We've got to exercise it, right? But first, let's look around the room here because I noticed that we have these 3 major arcana energies. Okay, that's very interesting here. And they're clustered here in this sort of fashion, and I kind of feel as if the earth energy is very much connected around this side here. And it's almost as if we are trying to, it feels like alchemy here, right? We're trying to take a base metal and we're trying to make gold. We're trying to take kind of what we've already accomplished, what we've already built, and we're trying to really turn it into something, more creative, more spiritual, more meaningful, right? So all of this earth energy is kind of like It's a physical wave that's pushing us forward. It's very interesting here with the kind of earth, the earth energy, and then this more watery, more subtle energy here. But there is definitely some not confusion, but some indecision, some clarity that is needed. Okay, so we have our major arcana. We have some fire. We've got some water. We've got some air. And we've got quite a bit of earth. And I think the earth really is telling us that we're trying to decide how to go about making this big transition in our life and not disrupt our life, not ruin, not fail at what we've built, not to, we don't want to lose everything that we've gained. We want to add to it. We want to augment it. We want to spiritualize it. Right? You have gold. You want to make gold. Yeah. We don't want to lose it all, right? So we've got that. That Seven of Pentacles is kind of the way we're looking at things now, right? We see that in our environment. It's kind of like every practical idea that you think of, every plan that you might formulate. That's very much the Eight of Swords. That we think we've got a plan, but then when we kind of follow it through, it doesn't work. So we try something else. Well, what if I did it this way, this way, this way, this way? It's almost like a bunch of math problems. It's like you know what the answer is, but you can't figure out how to get to that answer. That was always my problem in math, where, they'd give you the answers in the back of the book. At least they did when I was taking, algebra. I'm not very good at math. So you see what the final answer is going to be. You see what you want at the end of this situation. You want this, wealth. Now, this isn't just financial wealth. It's spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, intellectual wealth. This is a complete package, okay? You know what you want. You know what the solution is. You know what the answer is in the back of the book. But how do we show our work? How do we get from this jumble of symbols and numbers and shapes and all these weird things? How do we solve it? How do we get to that answer? That's what we're trying to do with this. And I think that's why we're not making much of a decision right now. I feel like we're not really making a lot of progress at the moment, right? But this kind of inaction, this kind of meditating on the problem, sleeping on it, trying to approach it from different angles, it doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Just because in the physical world you're not, see, we haven't completed the circle of the earth energy yet. We sort of did, because we have the ideal. Now this is obviously the Empress. It is some earth energy in a way. But we don't have any strictly earth cards to complete this circle. So we're still trying to figure out what the next physical action is going to be. But it doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. I think what we're doing is the internal work to try to figure out what perspective do we need? How do we look at this situation? Right? We're breakdancing right in the middle here. The solution will come to you. It's almost a feeling of once we stop trying to work the problem, we'll have that aha moment, and this Hanged Man will then be a card of triumph. Right? Emerging from this cocoon, so to speak. And it may even feel to your friends or family that you've kind of you've gone within, that you're not really socializing as much. You've kind of you've gone dark for a while, right? And that, I think, is really because you're trying to find the next move for your life right now. Yeah. And with the Hanged Man too, sometimes I feel as if we're a little bit cut off from our spiritual life. Yeah. We're trying to revitalize our spiritual practice. We're trying to get in touch with that spiritual feeling again. Maybe you don't consider yourself spiritual. Maybe this is more of an illumination. Maybe it's more of a creative surge of energy, or tapping into universal mind or higher mind, whatever you want to call it. Right? just for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to say that the spiritual life, your spirituality, your internal world. Okay. So I think we're trying to find the next viable step here that will lead us to our goal. See, we don't want to just abandon the more practical, earthy energy that we have. We've got the Queen of Pentacles back here. And there's water in here. Water of earth. Because this card is trying to take all of the experience from the past, everything that you've ever been through. See, they're staring out at that long and winding road, which very often indicates the past, right? It's the road that we've already traveled. You're trying to distill the wisdom from that. You're trying to find maybe not even the wisdom. That's part of it, but the essence, the meaning of it. What was it all for? What is it that I meant to do? What was Spirit trying to tell me? Right? Stripped away of all of the details. What was this path all about? This is a spiritual path, right? Clothed in the practical events of life. Okay. So you're trying to find that water in this past. You're trying to trace this thread of meaning. What is your myth? You're trying to understand what that is. And I think this is you trying to connect with that, right? And what we're really trying to do is find a way to continue that myth going forward with more awareness, with more consciousness, with more art and beauty, right? We're still going toward this Ten of Pentacles, which means that we're taking the earth energy with us. We need the vessel, right? We need the material success. We need the material world, the physical world progress. But we want to understand all of the other elements that are contained in that vessel. We could look at the earth energy as, as the shell of, a walnut or something, right? It's the vessel. The Two of Pentacles underneath here is showing that there is a big change in your life. And I wonder if this is, changing jobs, changing relationships, if this is thinking, well, I need to shift my focus somewhere, but where exactly should I, what should I do next? Maybe you're in a period of, maybe you're in sort of a limbo right now. Maybe it was the ending of one situation and the beginning of another one, and you're trying to figure out which one to go toward. Okay. So the universe or world card up here, for some of you, this might mean that this contract has ended. This period of time in your life is over, right? That job is done. Maybe it was seasonal. Maybe it was a contract. Maybe that employment is done. Okay. Maybe that relationship is done. Maybe that phase of your life is done. It's wrapped up. It didn't end abruptly. It didn't end with a big a blow up or anything. It just natural conclusion. Okay. So for some of you, it's going to be the ending of some kind of a relationship like that. But it is now that this is done and this is concluded, now you're kind of free to make your next move. But what is that going to be? I think you want it to be towards something that's more spiritual, more artistic. Maybe you are going from kind of a practical office kind of situation to a very creative, artistic job, career choice, studies maybe in school or university. Or maybe a different kind of relationship. Maybe you want to go from maybe it was a very domestic relationship, very practical, very kind of business-like, Maybe you're trying to go to something that's got more love, more passion, more nurturing, right? More soul fulfillment. For some of you, I think that's what it's going to be. These two cards, they're very similar but different, right? It's almost like it's the same, they're just wearing different clothes. Okay? They're focused on different things. They want different things. Right? And maybe what you wanted is changing. Maybe this was what your ambitions were. material success, practical things, building a life. And now you kind of want something else. Maybe you want family. Maybe you want love. Maybe you want art. Maybe you want passion. Right? We're trying to figure out what the next move is here. Trying to figure that out. And so this, it's kind of, the Hanged Man's kind of saying we have to kind of wait and see what happens. We could rack our brain, trying to figure out the plan. And yeah, that's a good way to occupy the time. But the Hanged Man really is saying, hey, just hang out, right? No pun intended. Maybe focus on the internal. Focus on kind of understanding this. Remember we said there's this thread of this destiny or this soul energy. Try to understand. Go within yourself and understand what it is that you are transitioning from. Try to get to the essence of that. Okay? I feel like some of you have a very strong connection with snakes or serpents. And they're very good symbols of change, right? And of growth. I think some of you even keep some kind of a talisman or an amulet on you that kind of gives you a reminder of your mission, a reminder of your work, of your spirit. Yeah. It might be a time to really find that object, right? Find a power object, and use that kind of in a meditation. We're not trying to do too much of this, because this Eight of Swords it's a tangle, right? It's Russ getting that big ball of Christmas lights, and Clark just says, "Here you go, sort these out." What? It'll keep you busy for the evening is what it'll do. But you're not going to accomplish it. And once you do, you plug it in, those lights aren't going to work anyway. You don't think you broke one of those bulbs untangling that huge ball of tangled Christmas lights? Anyway, it's just about time for me to watch Christmas Vacation. I love that movie. But that's the Eight of Swords. It'll keep you busy, but you're not solving anything. Right? It's not doing much. So maybe we can do something else that's more along the lines of this Hanged Man. And literally just hang out. Just meditate. Find your power object, if it is a talisman or an amulet or a religious object of some kind. Right? Use that as a focus for meditation. Yeah, for prayer. Try to connect with that part of your life again, and shut off your brain for a few minutes. Shut off the intellect that's trying to solve this math problem. Okay. And we talked about the Empress. The Empress is really just a wonderful card. It's a life that's more focused on beauty and love and joy. It's more focused on family. It's more focused on what is natural, right? We look at the Queen of Pentacles and it's more refined, right? This is kind of like culture, and this is more like nature, So I feel like you want to enjoy the world. You want to enjoy being alive and enjoy, all of these kinds of higher things like beauty and love and things like that, rather than what the Queen of Pentacles might be geared toward, and that's kind of more practical things, business. But see, again, these cards are the same, just wearing different clothes. The Queen of Pentacles, this could be family-oriented, just as the Empress is, but it's a different way of relating to that. It's a different way of experiencing family. It could be the same job. It could be it could be the same everything. But it's a more spiritualized experience of it. Through the process of spiritual evolution and initiation and the inner work, the magical work, we're not changing who we are. We're changing how clearly we can perceive ourselves. Right? We're changing what we're identifying with. You identify with the material, with the body, with the physical world, practical things. That's what you're mostly going to experience. If we focus on the spiritual things, our relationship with our own spirit and soul, consciousness, universal mind, God, goddess, deity, whatever you want to call it, with our spiritual lives, that's what we're going to experience more of. And I think the Hanged Man is trying to figure out that and how to do that and what to do in a very practical way to do that. Sometimes we don't do anything, right? But the Two of Pentacles is down here underneath saying, well, we've got to do something. We can't do nothing. Well, we already talked about that. The Hanged Man isn't doing nothing just because it's not taking some kind of practical earthly step, right? So it's very, very interesting here. We're going to move to the path of the serpent, and as I do this, I'd like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, totally free. Right? It doesn't cost you anything. And leave some comments for me. I really do enjoy hearing from all of you. Shout out where you're watching from, the country, the state, or whatever if you want. I really get a kick out of seeing how global our community is here. I really do love that, and I really do love all of you. Okay, enough of that. Path of the serpent here, we've got the Four of Cups. Sometimes it feels like if we're not doing something practical, then we're just kind of idling. The Four of Cups is that idle boat, the sailboat that's just in a harbor, anchored, not doing anything. You're just sitting there, not doing anything. The boat's not moving. It's not sinking. There's not a hole in the boat or anything. But you're not sailing off into the sunset either. Neither are you cleaning the boat or fixing the boat. You're just sitting there, right? Doesn't mean this is true. This is the perception. This is the way that you are viewing the path of the dove, primarily that Hanged Man. It kind of looks like you're not doing anything. You feel like you're just idling, but you are doing intense spiritual work. And you have to recognize that. Okay? We want to be more Hanged Man and less Eight of Swords. You're doing that inner work. Just because you're not taking one step after the other in a linear causal way doesn't mean that you're idling. Right? Big difference between the water of the Four of Cups and the water of the Hanged Man. All right. The next card is the Seven of Pentacles. This is the natural kind of causal thing that we were talking about. When you run through these scenarios, when you do this kind of mental simulation, okay, if I take this step, leads to failure, right? It's every option that you can think of, every plan that you have leads to, no, that's not, I don't like that. Didn't work, right? We're running through all these scenarios. It almost feels like, I don't know, one of these movies about, the Apollo missions, space travel in general. It's like, let's run through a bunch of scenarios and let's see exactly what they should do up there, to get home safely or to get to the destination or whatever the mission is. On the ground, we run a bunch of simulations, right? And they all end in kind of not the best outcome. So maybe the idea here is that we're still identifying too much with the earth energy, right? Because we're here on the ground running simulations. And it's not, nothing seems to satisfy. Right? So we've got to overcome this, I think. Yeah. Also, with the Seven of Pentacles, it's not my least favorite card, and I'll tell you why. This shows that there's always something to improve upon in our lives. Now, right now is not the time for action, not the time for doing something, right? It's a time for reflection, introspection, and figuring out how to do, what to do. But the Seven of Pentacles is saying that at least we recognize that there's something in our life that we're dissatisfied with. These crops haven't grown very much. I want to fix that. I want to improve. This is a feeling like I need to grow. I need something more. I need to get better. I need to do better. I need to be better, right? This is a card that always is striving for improvement. This is a very good card. But right now we don't need to do that mental exercise and run those simulations over and over and over again. Okay? You already know that something needs to improve. Now, this doesn't mean that you're broken. This doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It needs to be fixed. We can be absolutely perfect the way we are, and that's what the universe or the world card says. Things are absolutely perfect the way they are. At the same time, there are things we could do better, right? There are things that need to be improved. And we can hold both of these ideas in mind at the same time. Okay. The Princess of Wands here. This is in the position of what we don't want. And this, I think, is the troublemaker. This is the instigator. This is a bit melodramatic with this card. And it almost is a result of some running these scenarios. And what I can kind of liken it to is when I was studying algebra, I got to an intermediate algebra, a little bit of calculus, but I'm still not very good at math. You're trying to solve that problem, and you keep at it. You're up into the wee hours of the night, erasing new sheets of paper, trying to figure out this problem, right? Trying to write out this solution. You know what the answer should be, but how do I get there? The Princess of Wands is that point where you just say, screw it, I'm just going to write down whatever, and that's the answer. You know it's going to be wrong, but at least there's something on the paper. Well, we don't want to do that with life. It might be okay for, algebra here and there. But we don't want to do that in life because it's that frustration where it's just like, I'm so frustrated with it. I'm just going to put anything down there on the paper. I'm just going to write Mickey Mouse, and that's going to be the answer. We know it's wrong. We know it's not going to be, it's going to be a mark against us, right? It's not leading us to a perfect test score by any means. So then now we're kind of resolved to say, well, I know I'm not going to get a perfect score. And now it's just kind of a struggle. So we have too many of these, we might not even pass, right? So this is that kind of frustrated, impulsive behavior that is very much a natural part of life. See, this is fire and earth, this one, Princess of Wands. And we always talk about fire and earth on this channel because that is impulse to behavior. And this is a card that is directly impulse to behavior. It's behavior that is always impulsive. It's earth of fire. It's earth being expressed immediately with the impulse. Okay? There's no check and balance. There's no water and air as a resistor in this electrical circuit. So this is a card that's kind of, this card sometimes is good. Every card has light and shadow. Sometimes we want that. Sometimes we want to just let our behavior just flow from whatever our impulses are, In some cases that's good. In this case, I don't think that's good because that's just scribbling any old thing down on your test. It's going to be wrong. What's the point? You might as well just leave it blank, right? So we avoid that. And ultimately we focus on this goal, the 10 of Pentacles. Now this is wealth. And this is the result of this meditation, I think, to understand what it is that we really want. What things do you value? We value the practical things, food, water, shelter, right? Money, transportation, community, friends, right? Connections. We want intimacy. We want intellectual stimulation. We want mental clarity. We want spiritual illumination, spiritual awareness. Let's write all those things down at some point. Maybe not right now. Right now, let's focus on that meditation, that prayer. Get your talisman or your amulet. Find your snake symbolism, if that's a thing for some of you. And these answers will come to you, and we'll know exactly what we're after. We'll know exactly what kind of life. This is the picture of your best life. And I think when we close our eyes and we do this prayer and this meditation, we're being very active. We're at work. We're intensely working right now, even if our body isn't necessarily moving, right? And this 10 of Pentacles will come to you as images, as things that you want, things that you envision for your life and for yourself. Okay? Let's look at the mystery card now. I'm curious. Maybe we'll see some more fire and kind of that showing that, hey, it's time for action. I think once we get through this Hanged Man period, the time for action will come. Now's not the time to really to take steps, physical actions, So maybe we'll get some fire, maybe an emperor. If you have a prediction, put it down in the comments. Okay. Let's see what we have. Oh, that's the Fool. Hey, yesterday's reading. I'm pretty sure the Fool was the very first card that came out. When you're done with this reading, watch the very last, the most recent reading for Aquarius, and I'm pretty sure the Fool came out as the very either first or second card in that reading, and now here it is as the confirmation card. So I think these readings really do connect for you, and I think that this is kind of that freedom that's coming for you. This freedom of, we're getting out of this Hanged Man position, we're getting out of this Eight of Swords, and there's freedom of movement, freedom of expression. Right? It may feel like an intense, very serious period of time right now. A lot of strain, a lot of stress, right? A lot of tension within your soul. That's all going to be released. And this is the air. Fool is the, pure air energy. And to me, it kind of signifies a release from this kind of mental prison, right? Trying to figure out that math problem. Maybe this is that. Maybe we're throwing the test away. I don't know. But this is the alleviation of that mental stress. And this is now freedom of movement. Now we know exactly what we're supposed to do. But at the same time, we don't really know. And we don't care. It's more spontaneous. It's more being guided by the soul. It's not as impulsive as the Princess of Wands, although the Fool could be. The Fool very easily could kind of differentiate into a Princess of Wands. We don't want that. We want this to be guided by the Spirit, guided by the higher mind, guided by this soul, guided by this kind of feeling of emptiness, right? And when things are empty, when the mind's empty, what does show up is more meaningful. We can perceive things better. When your mind is racing, a mile a minute, Michael Scott. It's difficult to pay attention to those things that are really meaningful. Yeah. If our thoughts are racing, if there's just so much going on in our heads, then a lot of very important things will pass right by and we won't even notice them. But if there's this lightness, this clarity, this emptiness, then the right things can come in and we can hold them. We can see them. Yeah. I think that's what the Hanged Man is trying to do. Yeah. And it's not easy work. It's difficult work. But this, I think, is a good indication of the future. It makes me very happy. And we're going to do an extended reading, Aquarius. If you want to stick around, click either above or below in the video description. I'm here every day from 6 to 8 a.m. Chicago time. Come back and see me again tomorrow. Okay. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Totally free, doesn't cost you anything. And leave some comments for me. I really love hearing from all of you. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you, and I love you. And we're all in this together.